Welcome to an example in IronCAD for Too Tall Toby's practice models. This is dated July 4th, 2024. This is a Tier 4 model and it's a stepped plastic bracket. Not too difficult. Consists of a bottom shape here that's got a 225, 40 height, and an overall height of 120, and a rectangular shape on the top that we'll build. A couple things that it does have is some draft here and some blends on these top edges here, and we also these outer or inside pocket edges and outer edges have a blend as well. So we have to add those, and then a chamfer and some counter bore and counter drilled holes here that we want to add to the model. So we'll go ahead and design this on IronCAD and show you how we can go about this. So first we're going to go ahead and make sure our units are in the right units. So we are in millimeters in this case, so we'll set this to millimeters, and we want to value in grams here for our mass, and we'll drag and drop out a extrude, and we'll set the values here. So we'll set that at 225. The width of this thing is 85, and the height we're going to start off with is 40 for that model. So that's the base of our model. And then now we can go ahead and add our next extrude right onto our center point. And we know the width of this by right-clicking and dragging is 125. And we'll right-click and drag the other one. Since we're in the center, we can align the top, or the side, sorry, to be smooth connected. Last, we're going to set the height, the overall height from the bottom, which gives us a value of 120. For that. So that's the information that we need for our overall size of the model. And next we'll go ahead and do an extrude cut here. And simple things we can do is align it to the front. We know the width of this is 80, and I'm just doing that right click and drag when you see both handles move. And also aligning to this height because it has a 40 millimeter height from there. And last, again, we'll use those same commands to do an edit distance from the back edge because we know the distance from there is 26 millimeters, so we'll set that as well. Next, we can do a draft on this model, so we can go into our feature ribbon, do a draft face, because we know this bottom has a 4-degree draft. And it also matters where you pick your plane. So for example, we put the plane here and we pick this face to draft. Notice the bottom edge moves down, which is not what we want. We want it to stay here and move up. So we can actually move that plane using the tribal. I just wanted to show this, so we can actually just redefine this location to the front. And now you can see the draft is from the front edge and drafting up. And we just put in our degrees of 40 degrees, or sorry, 4 degrees inside of there for our face, and hit OK to apply that. Again, you can always pick the front face. Again, if we pick this front face, we can put the plane there, and then for the sides, we have an 8-degree draft there as well, so you can see the same thing applies there. So we want that front distance to be 80 from here, then drafting in for the model to get that. Next, we want to go ahead and add blends on this, and a simple way to do that for these pockets is to grab those vertices here, and when you right click and say blend edges, it'll pick up all those edges for us, and we need to set those to 10 millimeters for those, and we'll select this outer edge here and this one as well on this, and hit OK to apply that. So that gives us the basic shape for our model. Next, we'll just go into our starter catalog, go into our mechanical tools, and we're going to drag and drop a hole, because we do know it's in the center of this, but it's not actually on the center of that face, so we'll move that in just a second. But we're going to set that counter bore there. It's got a through hole of 16 through. It's got a counter of 31 and a counter bore depth of 12. So we can go ahead and apply that. And what we're going to do is actually just simply move that to the center, because what we're going to do is we know the distance from here to here. So we can just move this out with a right click and drag and say link. We're going to make one copy of that, and we're going to repeat it in the opposite direction. So we're going to do half of the total distance, which is 186 divided by 2 inside of there. Yeah, 186, yep, and hit OK, and that will put our counter bores on both of those, and then we can just delete that original shape because we don't need that one anymore. So that's a simple way to apply that in this case for those. Now we can go ahead and add our chamfers here. So we do a chamfer. We know this is going to be a distance angle of 16 and 45, so it's the same on both sides. So it doesn't matter which direction we pick. We just pick these edges to apply that, and right click OK to apply those. So that's the chamfer there. One other thing we need to add here is this blend on the front. So we'll select both these edges here, and we know that has a value of a very large 42 to apply that to give us that front shape there. Next, we'll go ahead and do the counter drill here. So we'll drop the hole again right onto the center point of that face. And we know that is a counter drilled inside of this case. And we know that this is a 12 diameter, and it's got a 24 for the drill and a 90-degree there. And again, we can apply that to do that. Now, what we do know is the first hole is 20 millimeters from the top. So I'm just going to move it right up to the top, drag it down 20 millimeters to apply that. And the next one is a total distance of 54 to the center from the top. So we know it's got 20 already, so we just right click and drag down, make a link here, and that's going to be the 54 minus the 20. Just so you can do math there if you don't want to do it in your head, but 34 to give you the distance for that to apply that. So that will give us our overall shape for those inside of there as well. And that's all it takes to build this model. Just make sure I got everything built correctly here, so we can just rotate around to see everything. And now we can go into our mass density here, which has a mass density of 1020. We hit tab. That should give us a value of mass of 1243 for this model. Let me just double check everything to make sure that is looking correct. Yeah, so if you want to just see some things here, so this overall distance, just so you have reference here, those should give you the value of 16 degrees there. This distance from this back edge, we can just look at the back edge, should be the 125 inside of there. That's correct. And if we want to check our angle here, we can select that face and that face to get our angle of 4 degrees for that lower pocket there. And again, we have our counter bores there. And if we want to select these two hole edges, select the edge and select the other edge, you can get that distance again as 186 for that as well. So we can get that distance as well. So that's pretty much all it takes to build this model inside of here. And if you again you want to get the front to the back just to see this, you can get those distances as well, which is 85. And we set the starting point here is 225 as well. So I'm just showing you these on the bottom so you can see all the measurements inside of here without putting any dimensions on the model itself, but that's all it takes to build that in IronCAD. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that one, and we'll see you on the next one.